What up, you guys? Happy Thursday. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning back in, and let's get into another recap here. So, if it's alright with you guys, I thought I was going to focus today's video on Tesla because it did have a pretty nice day today, right? It was a pretty significant day for Tesla because of the news that came out that allowed it to really gap up on the day, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about that with you guys. But as far as day trading, I'm going to cover that briefly at the end if you were curious about how I did, so tune in on that. But getting into Tesla, this is how my brother and I did on the day. So fortunately, we were able to have a nice green day. This was the biggest green day I think we've had swing trading any stock, and we are up just under $1,200, right? 1188.05 on Tesla on the day, and finished the day up basically what we were up on Tesla. So, one thing I do want to let you guys know of is my brother and I. First, let me pull up Tesla. My brother and I have basically been in Tesla with $10,000, right? The other day we told you guys we averaged up, and I'll cover at what price points. But today we actually decided to end up averaging up again. And we actually ended up doing that in the after hours market when we did see this volatility come in. But Tesla, just in terms of the stock, I just want to go ahead and show you guys kind of the game plan my brother and I have been having and just our thoughts on the stock and everything like that. But just remind you guys, as always, I know it's annoying to hear, but this is not financial advice or anything, right? We're just going to talk about what we feel about it. It's just our own opinion. So Tesla, this is it on the all-time charts, right? And as you guys can see, this was back when Tesla was still at these awesome, nice prices, right? Back in 2020, and ended up having this nice boom. And obviously recently, in 2022 specifically, it was a bad year for the market. And Tesla was not an exception at all. It ended up falling to lows of $100, right? Right around there. And as of recently, we're seeing this pattern now that is trying to show signs that Tesla is once again trying to be bullish and basically start uptrending. And I want to go and show you guys this chart. This is the all-time chart once again because it is just so important to see where the stock has been trading kind of throughout its whole lifetime, right? And right now, we obviously end up seeing that we did have a nice sell-off, but we did have a big support candle right around this area. And it was a big enough support that led us to end up crossing this blue EMA line again, right? And on top of that, even though the stock did waver a little bit, it ended up forming a nice higher low, meaning that the low it had when it formed right around here was not as low as it previously was, right? It formed a higher low, and this is a great sign when a stock wants to uptrend, right? When it wants to form this higher high and higher low pattern. So it did form a higher low here, and on top of that, my brother and I saw that Tesla broke this resistance as well and formed a higher high. So we think with all the good news that's going to come out for Tesla and everything, and just the fact that the economy will hopefully start turning around a bit. And Tesla's just really been cementing themselves as like the top automaker, right, for EVs. And because of all of that, I really think we may start to see a nice uptrend pattern like we did before for Tesla. So that's just it on the all-time chart. As far as our game plan specifically, my brother and I ended up, we were actually in Tesla for a while, and I'll just show you guys on the all-time charts again. We were in Tesla for a while in 2022, but ultimately ended up taking a beating, right? So we sold out of everything, and I believe we ended up buying in another few shares to start getting back in at around 190. And then we bought in with only a quarter of the amount we wanted to be in, which is $20,000. So we bought in with $5,000, right, initially, because we were not sure at these levels if we were going to continue to keep falling, right? That's why we wanted to buy in lightly. And once we saw that Tesla did want to keep being bullish and it finally broke above this blue EMA line, we did decide to add more, excuse me, at around the price point of 209 if I remember correctly. So we bought in initially at the price point just around 190 with $5,000, right? A quarter of our position. And as we got signs that it really wanted to keep uptrending, it made sense for us to want to add to something that's making us money, right? So we averaged up at 209, ended up having a little pullback, and my brother and I were only in with half at this point, and we were willing to let the Tesla basically find new lows before we were to cut it, because we believe the risk to reward is worth it, right? If we were only in with half and it were to fall and basically break the support here, we would cut it immediately, versus the upside we think Tesla has to go to push new all-time highs. It's far greater, right, than the basically risk we're putting up with our money. The reward is far greater than the risk, and that's why it's worth it for us. It's pretty much that simple. So today we decided to average up with the remaining half. So we were in with $10,000 at that point, and once we saw Tesla really form a higher low here and start to climb, especially with today, given the news I'm going to talk about in a second, it really started to go. And my brother and I thought that we wanted to add in the other $10,000. So we're in with $20,000 right now. And our second half, right, the $10,000 we bought in with today in the after hours, we bought in at right around 244.60 if I'm not mistaken. I can double check that for you guys, but yeah, at 244.60. So we're in with $20,000 now, and my brother and I are basically looking to play this with some type of risk management, right? And the way we're going to do that is we talk to ourselves, and if Tesla were basically to break below 240, we averaged in at 244.60, right around these levels, right? It had a nice pop, and we're fine basically riding it up and continuing to let it basically ride up and gap up with the full amount. And the only time we're basically looking to reduce our position size or shares it's basically if Tesla were to break below 240. At that point, we feel this is a level where Tesla is really going to want to start being iffy and not really form these nice higher highs and higher low pattern. And at that point, me and him would basically want to reduce size because we think it would make sense, right? Tesla could basically start to fall if it's not continuing this uptrend pattern and validating it, right? So if that were to happen, if Tesla were to break below 240, we plan on selling it for selling half the shares for a loss. And versus obviously if it were to keep going, we hope it plays out nicely to hopefully make its way up to test new highs. So the reason regarding the news of why Tesla rallied so much today was, if you guys are on TD Ameritrade, you can always click the live news tab right here, and you guys will see a lot of articles, and it's basically talking about how today was announced that Ford and GM, basically two huge car making companies, right, especially getting into the EV industry, as well as all cars are basically required to, right? There's not going to be any more gas powered cars because of the new requirements from the government and everything. So Ford and GM decided to make a partnership with Tesla to basically endorse and use their charging stations, because everyone knows right now that Tesla basically is dominant in that area of the EV industry, right? That's one of the problems a lot of people see with electric vehicles in general, is that there's not enough charging stations, and that's one of the things they worry about. And Tesla being such an established EV company, since they were basically the ones that paved the way for it, they have a lot more experience and they have a lot more stations already out there. So these companies decided to partner with Tesla to basically take advantage of all these EV, basically of all these charging stations, right? They want the EV industry as a whole to basically just be pushed in a positive direction, and a lot of more people are going to be able to feel more reliable, right? Knowing there's a lot more stations they can use out there. With this partnership with Tesla. So that's obviously a huge plus that moved this stock up a lot today. And I just want to talk about the company in general as a whole. My brother and I are big fans of Elon, and the reason why we believe there's so much value in this company as a whole is because of two main reasons. One of them being, if you guys basically do your research or watched interviews, Elon thinks that he is going to release autonomous driving, right? Fully self-driving for Tesla around later this year. And we know he's pretty optimistic with his timeline and everything. But the fact that Tesla is for sure far more advanced than anyone else out there right now as far as getting to autonomous driving and everything like that, they are basically just way ahead of the game as far as technology. And they're close to getting there at this point. Elon has seemed pretty confident. and that would be a huge plus, right? Because Tesla vehicles will now be able to, if you guys have heard the interviews, basically just have a lot more value added to them, because if they can drive themselves, and there's talks of ideas down the line where Teslas can maybe be doing things like Uber Eats, right, or Ubering people while you're not even using your car at night or something, because it could do it all on its own, and that could be a way of generating income, something along those lines. But it's pretty fascinating when you think about it, and the value of your car and Teslas in general will be worth a lot more when something like that rolls out. So, and on top of that, that was one of the main reasons. The second big reason that my brother and I are excited about is Optimus. So if you guys have been watching any of the Tesla conferences, you guys have seen that Optimus is basically these bots that Tesla is working on. I know they're a car company and everything like that, but or that's what they're known for, but they're not just a car company, right? They're working on all these other things, and Optimus is basically a bot. You guys should look it up. It's pretty interesting if you guys haven't, but it's this bot Tesla's making to hopefully in the future just be a general robot that will basically be able to do a lot of the arduous work, and basically in like things like construction or anything like that, but maybe eventually in the future just around the house, like for household chores. And it's just something that is super fascinating, right? Technology is absolutely crazy these days, and it's just cool to kind of be witnessing that type of thing. But the Optimus bots are also in the future looking to add so much value to Tesla. Elon's talked about how he thinks that will be the majority of value that Tesla as a company in the future is made from. It's from the Optimus bots, and it's just really exciting to see where the company is moving, right? They have so many fascinating things, and they are definitely putting in the work to show for everything, right? They're not just talking a lot. They're definitely putting in the hours. They're trying to outwork everyone, and they're just very smart as a whole in their company with their logistics and everything and how they plan everything. They're really on top of their numbers and everything like that. So I know I'm rambling a bit, but that's just it. That's our video on Tesla. Those are just the main reasons my brother and I are so bullish on it. We just see a lot of value in the company as a whole, right? And on top of that, these charts are definitely showing that Tesla is starting to look bullish. Obviously, we're prepared to manage risk. We're not so one-sided on anything. Tesla can very well push back because it has been very bullish recently, but we did get in just in case it wants to take off. So we're prepared for either way, and I'd encourage you guys to not get in with everything right now or anything like that. Just have a plan so you don't become an emotional mess if it were to go south, because that is obviously always a possibility. And yeah, Teslas with the new EV credits too and everything like that, they're actually coming out to be pretty cheap, depending on what you qualify for. But because of all these tax credits and stuff like that, I saw a video yesterday. Shout out to Ricky Gutierrez. He's a day trader my brother and I have been following for a while. And he made a video that shows you that it is even possible to get a Tesla for around $23,000, a brand new one, but it would be stock and everything, obviously, if you qualify for it with a bunch of tax EV credits. So if you guys are curious about that, look into it, but that is absolutely nuts, and it's true. You can get a Tesla for pretty cheap these days, and yeah, that's just another reason why the company I think is doing so well right now, and I find so much value in them because they're able to provide cars for cheaper, right? They're able to afford that luxury because they're so dominant in the industry, right? They can afford to kind of move the prices around. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something from the video and enjoyed it, and leave any comments down below if you have any questions or anything like that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys all killed it as well. Take care.